Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Solar Entertainment. My name is Nishant.
And I'm Chase.
And we got another movie review for you guys. This time we went to go see the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Let's get started and review this movie.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Please won't you be my neighbor?
That was wonderful.
So, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood stars Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers and Matthew Rhys as Lloyd Vogel. You want to give us a synopsis on that, Chase?
Sure. Lloyd Vogel is a writer at Esquire magazine and given the assignment to write an expose about Mr. Rogers, while also having to tackle the battle concerning his problematic father.
Yeah, this was a very good movie, very heartfelt and emotional. So Chase, what did you like about this movie?
I really liked the acting about it, and I really liked the tone of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the wholesome aspect of it, but also it didn't really get into dark themes, which is fine. But I also really liked how it dives a little bit into it, because it's not.
It skims on the surface of it a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not entirely about Mr. Rogers. It's about this guy, and he has a bad history with his father.
Yeah, he's really dealing with a lot of bad things in his past, a lot of things which he hasn't really reconciled with. So this movie is a lot about forgiveness and moving past a lot of things that really hurt you in the past and learning to overcome that and learning to be a better person. And when Lloyd meets Mr. Rogers, at first he just wants to get his story out there, he wants to get his work done, but he later learns to accept what Mr. Rogers is kind of trying to impart to him, and the lessons he's learning from him. He learns to accept all that and learn to implement that in his life. So I really loved Tom Hanks' performance in this movie.
Yeah, I loved his performance. However, I didn't really think he captured the visual, because
yeah, he doesn't really look too much like Mr. Rogers, but the small subtleties and the way his voice and his inflection and the small little subtleties in his movement really hit home with what Mr. Rogers is.
Yeah, and I'm glad after a while you forget that it's Tom Hanks, is Mr. Rogers. And
yeah, exactly.
Didn't really take too much away from the movie. That was just a tiny nitpick.
Yeah, the nicest guy in Hollywood playing the nicest guy in real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a bit about the tone of this movie. You want to talk about that a bit more?
Yeah. It's very lighthearted. It's the tone of this movie is very lighthearted because it shows how even though the real world is pretty dark and not as happy as Mr. Rogers seems it is, it still
there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly, because the film does the film does state that Mr. Rogers has been angry and sad before.
Yeah, it really goes into how Mr. Rogers is also not really a perfect person as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was a really good thing. And yeah, of course the tone of this movie is very warm and very comforting. That's what I liked about it a lot. Mm-hmm. And it was very faithful to a lot of the original Mr. Rogers show. A lot of the transitions were done with the small little Mr. Rogers cars, and the puppets were very faithfully recreated. The puppets, the real set on the show, I think that really added to a lot of authenticity with how the movie was made. Mm-hmm. So there was one con I kind of had with this movie. It's not really too big of an issue, but it was still a little bit of a glaring misstep for me within the movie. As Chase said, there was a conflict between Lloyd, the main character, and his father. And of course the conflict is there, it's very present, it's one of the it's probably the biggest conflict in the movie, but I didn't see the real motivation behind Lloyd's tension between him and his father, because of course it's explained throughout the movie, but if it was really hit home at the beginning of the movie, I think that would have helped solidify the conflict a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah, like, kind of like to bounce off what you just said, like, they do implement it, but they, like, never really, like, show it. Like, they don't have to show it. Like, they tell us multiple times that, to prove that he has daddy issues, but, like, the entire time the dad is just trying to prove himself, like, to his son, and I'm not sure what to believe, like, because you just hear a bunch of different stuff.
Exactly.
So, like,
yeah. There's no one clear, concise way that, or not way, but like reason that Lloyd dislikes his father. That's just a little small little gripe we had with the movie, but nothing to bring it down too much. Yes. So, overall, what did you think about this movie? Just sum it up for me real quick.
A very wholesome movie, good for all ages. A great Thanksgiving movie. Please go see it with your family. Just wholehearted fun.
Yeah, it's I don't think I would call it a fun movie.
Not really fun.
It's very emotional and
emotional.
very wholehearted, very wholesome. Exactly like Chase said. I agree with all that you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the performances are great. The story was great. The acting was over the top, amazing. And okay, out of 10, what would you give this movie?
Maybe like a solid 7.5.
All right, that sounds good. I'd say I'd give it a 7.5 too. It's not the best movie, and there was some small gripes in there with the conflict, which you mentioned a bit earlier. But overall, it was a very wholesome, very satisfying movie, very emotional. It'll pull on your heartstrings a bit, so be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been our review of Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. You guys should check it out.
In theaters November 22nd.
And that's been Solar Entertainment for this time. I'm Nishant.
I'm Chase.
Signing off.
See ya.